What's up gamers, and welcome to part 2 of my Lies of P boss ranking video. If you haven't checked out part 1 of the boss ranking, go and check it out as it goes from boss number 25 to 13. Today I'm ranking the last 12 bosses, so let's get into it. But if you haven't liked and subscribed, why not consider doing it? I'll be posting regular gaming content of a variety of different games, so if you like video games and a charming voice to accompany them, come join the gang. Anyway, moving on, our first boss. Number 12, the White Lady. The White Lady is such a beautiful boss fight with a heartfelt and tragic backstory. The White Lady, whose name is Patricia, was a well-known actress along with her sister Adelina, until a poison tragically destroyed her voice, meaning she couldn't act anymore. After the puppet frenzy, Patricia believed that Adelina was killed by puppets and so turned into a puppet murderer, killing any puppets she encountered, which explains why there are puppet bodies on spikes all over Elysian Boulevard. The tragic part is that Adelina was presumably the one who poisoned her sister as she was jealous of her voice. With that bit of background context out the way, this boss fight is a brilliant and satisfying battle. The White Lady fights with elegance and skill, and you can't just spam moves against her, she can actually parry one of your attacks and punish you with a big stab. Her main attacks are a forward thrust similar to that of fencing and is very quick and agile, but the parrying timing isn't too hard to land with those attacks, it's when to know to counter-attack that is the hard part. This fight isn't a hard one but can take a couple of tries to get used to, and in my opinion is the best Stalker boss fight. Number 11, Black Rabbit Fight 2. Just shy of top 10 is the Black Rabbit Brotherhood Fight 2. This is the second time you fight them, but I'll get to the other one later down the list. This rematch was overwhelming the first time I encountered them, as you have to fight all three of them at the same time, and when only one remains, the eldest will be reanimated and you have to fight him as well, making this a pretty difficult fight, so get ready to get locked in when entering this boss room. However, the three younger members don't have that much health, so focusing on each one individually turned out to be the best way to take these guys on. The youngest, who is the hooded one, is quick and agile, and her attacks consist of mainly kicks and slashes with her sword, but she also leaves a lot of attack windows open. The Buckethead one wields a large spear and tends to just poke around and prod at you multiple times, however these can be easily avoided and circled around. The last one is the rabbit with the red scarf and also likes to stab and slash with his sword and sometimes use fire-based attacks. Each rabbit on their own is not really a threat, but it's when all three of them are attacking at the same time is when it gets overwhelming. Once the eldest comes back, it's the same matter of keeping distance and letting him do his long and heavy combos until he stops for a few seconds, which is where the counter-attacks come in. I played this guy quite a few times, so the parrying times were kinda easy when you get the hang of it, but overall these guys deserve their spot just under top 10. Number 10, Green Monster of the Swamp. On to the top 10. Green Monster of the Swamp was a very unexpected but delightful find at the end of Barren Swamp. This huge grotesque creature waits for you in its lair, and is one of the cooler looking bosses in Lies of P. This guy is super aggressive and uses a lot of swiping, clawing and smashing attacks. He will also spew large amounts of decay all over you, which is probably best avoided. His attacks are quite telegraphed and easy to avoid, but once his health bar whittles down, we take him to phase 2. Now the Green Monster of the Swamp is Puppet Devouring Monster of the Swamp. He now takes form with a bunch of puppet body parts covering him. His second phase isn't a lot different than his first phase, but he is more aggressive and tends to wind up his attacks a lot, making parry timings a bit harder to predict. Again, he will swipe, claw and smash, and jump all over the arena, and it's not very difficult, but he does look pretty awesome. Number 9, Eldest of the Black Rabbit Brotherhood. The Black Rabbit Brotherhood Fight 1. Compared to their second phase, these guys are a little bit easier but still a pain if you don't know what you're in for. Each quarter of the health bar you take off the Elder, one more gang member hops down to join the fight, but you only need to take down the Elder to beat them all. The Elder has long and heavy combos with a moveset that looks really cool. There are a lot of chances to parry him, but avoiding his combos completely and then hitting him as he recovers is a much easier bet. Not much to say about these guys, but it is a lot of fun. Number 8, Parade Master. Parade Master is the first boss you will encounter in Lies of P. This boss was an amazing introduction to how this game plays and the difficulty it will have. Parade Master is a very fun fight and he has a great design. Parade Master doesn't pose much of a threat, but if it's your first time playing, it will most likely take a few times getting used to the parry system. Parade Master will love to swipe and smash down on you with his hands, and will also belly flop a lot, which has a very satisfying parry. His attacks are very telegraphed and easy to parry, however on his second phase he will tear his own head off and start bashing you around with that, which can throw first time players completely off. He will be a lot more aggressive, but it's still an easy fight. But with that being said, Parade Master definitely deserves his spot in the top 10. Number 7, Champion Victor. Champion Victor is found at the end of the Grand Exhibition Hall, and my god, this guy is a madman. This dude is like Bane on steroids. This guy fights with pure strength and will punch and kick you to oblivion, so it's crucial to be patient in this fight. I love the design of this guy, and the way he fights reminds me a bit of Hu Relu from Elden Ring. He will charge, jump and punch around the arena sometimes. After taking his health bar down to halfway, he will activate his Venom steroid mode and go even more apeshit. He will use more punch and kick combos with high damage output. He has a red attack where he will charge up a kick for ages, and the parry timing is a bit confusing at first. He will also have this grab move where he literally picks you up and beats the shit out of you and then tries to stomp on you. This guy is definitely not an easy fight, but it is a very enjoyable one. Number 6. Fallen Archbishop Andreas. Another boss that looks straight out of Bloodborne. This grotesque beast used to be the Bishop of St. Frangelico Cathedral. I absolutely love the look of this boss, and my love for Bloodborne heightens this. Andreas will use big claws to swipe and smash, but also use his tongue to attack as well, which also causes decay. Sometimes he will do a big leap in the air and just sit on you, but all his attacks are quite predictable and easy to dodge or parry. After you drain his health bar, the second phase will then commence, and the bishop's more humanoid figure will emerge from inside the beast. The second phase of this fight is even more fun than the first. He will sort of act as the boss's tail, and depending on which way the boss faces you, decides which attacks it will use. Lots of people have said this is the first boss they struggled with, but I didn't find him too hard. That being said though, this boss is an amazing fight. Number 5. Simon Manus. The final boss of the game. No, not quite. Simon Manus is the big baddie who only makes himself known in the last half of the game. The leader of the alchemists with a plan to use Ergo in a terrible way. This guy definitely puts up a tough fight. In his first phase he'll be this weird blob of a human wielding a huge mace-like weapon. This phase doesn't pose too much of a difficulty, but his rolling attacks can catch you off guard if you don't expect it. The boss arena for this fight looks so cool, and Simon Manus is a very menacing looking dude. He will smash his mace around and roll around the arena, but it's the second part of the fight that gets really insane. His second phase turns him into literally a god, and the arena turns into a big foggy orb. This guy now has the ability to throw tons of projectiles at you, including disruption orbs, which if enough of them hit you can cause instant death, so that's always fun. He will also use similar attacks with his mace like he does in the first phase. One of the coolest attacks he has though is when this huge hand descends from the sky, and when the fingers touch, a huge shockwave covers about 90% of the arena. So if this attack starts, you better run for your life. But yeah, this boss is a very cool one. Number 4. Romeo, King of Puppets. So this guy is really cool and one of the best boss fights in the game, but I forgot to record this one, so I'm very sorry for that. Amazing first phase and second phase. You might have to watch this fight on another YouTube channel if you want to see what it looks like. Number 3. Nameless Puppet. The true final boss of the game that will reveal itself if you refuse to give Geppetto your heart. The introduction to this boss is one of the best cutscenes in the game, and this guy just looks so fucking cool. However, he is on another level of difficulty, holy shit. The Nameless Puppet wields a long sword and will use it with non-stop aggression. With slashing and stabbing combos and immense speed, this puppet will pose as a solid barrier from you seeing those credits roll. His first phase is difficult, but his second phase are where things get extremely hard. He will now be even faster and uses 2 swords which can be used in rapid combos. Nameless can jump and create a huge AoE attack, and can also combine his swords into one and uses it to thrust as one big greatsword. He was hard in the first playthrough, but what you're watching now is on New Game Plus 3, which is something straight out of a nightmare. With all that being said, Nameless Puppet deserves its spot at 3rd place. Number 2. Scrap Watchman. I have so much love for this boss. The Scrap Watchman is peak Lies of P, and the lore, the design, the way he fights is all just top notch. The Scrap Watchman will mostly use his long arms to attack and can jump high and far to cover distances easily between you. He will strike and slam with his large hands, but his attacks are very telegraphed and so can be easily parried. He will sometimes wind up his arms and slam them down on you. During his second phase he will use electric attacks and has an AoE attack that radiates electricity all from his body. This boss isn't the hardest, but absolutely deserves a spot in number 2. Number 1. Laxasia the Complete. And the number 1 spot goes to no other but Laxasia, the one blocking you from Simon Manus. Laxasia is one of, if not the hardest boss in Lies of P, but that doesn't stop her getting top spot at all. Her first phase she will be covered head to toe in armour and carries an absolutely massive greatsword. She will attack with multiple sword swings and slashes, sometimes comboing up to 10 times in a row without stopping. So the trick in the first phase is to dodge, or if you're a madman, parry all those sword attacks. As if you break her sword, she'll go straight into phase 2. Bearing in mind this takes about 40 parries to accomplish, so... After managing to whittle down her first phase, she will begin phase 2, which is where the difficulty spikes an insane amount. She will shed her armour, become extremely agile, and runs like the Flash around the arena, and also deals heavy electric damage. She will usually first start the fight firing a ton of lightning bolts at you, but what people don't realise is that you can actually parry these back, inflicting a fair bit of free damage on her. Patience is key in this fight as she can whittle you down with insane speed because of her agility. She will also jump in the air and fly down, dealing more electric damage. By far the best boss in the game, with an incredible lore and phases. Thanks for watching this ranking. Like and subscribe if you want to see similar content. I'll be posting Elden Ring content soon, and we'll also be doing a playthrough of the Elden Ring DLC, so you won't want to miss that. Thanks guys.